The extraordinary announcement from Buckingham Palace late today, Prince Andrew soon no longer a prince. King Charles taking action against his younger brother in the wake of the Jeffrey Epstein scandal.
King Charles stripping his brother of all his titles. He will effectively no longer be royal.
Moments ago, Buckingham Palace confirmed what many had been anticipating. King Charles has officially removed Prince Andrew from the royal line of succession, marking one of the most decisive and historic actions of his reign.
Meanwhile, King Charles has formalised the removal of Andrew Mountbatten's Windsor's royal title.
Just days after Andrew gave up his royal titles, this makes it final. No title, no rank, no return. Sources say Queen Camilla and Prince William backed the move, calling it vital to protect the crown's dignity. But what does this mean for Andrew and the monarchy moving forward? Was this the only option for the monarchy? Stay tuned to find out. The quiet storm and the battle over titles. The royal family has reached a turning point few saw coming. Over the past year, a quiet storm has been building behind palace walls, one that has now ended with Prince Andrew's name wiped from the line of succession. It started in early 2025. Pressure mounted on King Charles to address the lingering shadow cast by past scandals. Though many in the public had moved on, Andrew's presence continued to stir unease. His connections to the late financier Jeffrey Epstein, while legally settled, still weighed heavily on the monarchy's reputation. Inside the palace, he was known as the problem that refused to fade. King Charles, already juggling health concerns and royal responsibilities, first tried to resolve things quietly.
King Charles III is sharing a rare health update amid his cancer battle.
In April, a private meeting at Balmoral brought the brothers face to face. Charles hoped Andrew would step back gracefully from the title of Duke of York. Andrew refused, insisting that loyalty to family mattered more than formalities, and that his service to the crown remained intact despite public opinion. For the king, the meeting made one thing clear: reconciliation was no longer possible. Tensions didn't stop at that private meeting. Outside the palace, whispers grew louder with every passing week, and the media began sensing cracks in the royal facade. The combination of public curiosity and internal disagreement made it clear that something significant was looming, a decision that could change the monarchy forever. By summer, tensions at Royal Lodge, Andrew's Windsor residence, had reached a peak.
Now, as for Royal Lodge, it became clear it would be untenable for Andrew to stay in such a royal residence, so in the heart of the Windsor.
The king reportedly suggested relocating him to a smaller Scottish estate, but Andrew resisted, citing his legal entitlements. The standoff drew intense media attention, dominating headlines for weeks. As the internal drama played out, the public's curiosity intensified. Media outlets dissected every minor detail, while citizens debated the monarchy's future in homes, pubs, and online forums. What had once been a private family issue was now emblematic of the monarchy's struggle to balance tradition, duty, and modern accountability. With every passing day, the inevitability of a historic decision became more apparent. The whispers in the palace corridors grew louder with each passing month. Advisors debated quietly, concerned not only with Andrew's decisions, but with the message it sent to the public. The king's team knew that while the world watched from afar, the monarchy's credibility was at stake. Every move needed careful calculation, every conversation a test of patience and strategy. Meanwhile, staff and close aides observed a noticeable shift in Andrew's daily routine. Invitations to official events dwindled, casual meetings were postponed indefinitely, and even minor privileges, once taken for granted, became restricted. The quiet changes created a subtle tension that no one could ignore, signaling that the final decision was coming. And it would be decisive. On October 17th, Andrew publicly renounced his royal titles, a seemingly simple act that nonetheless marked the first step in a carefully orchestrated plan to remove him from succession entirely. Behind the closed doors of Clarence House, palace officials worked to finalize the process, drawing a definitive line in history. By October 24th, when King Charles appeared beside President Władimir Zelensky at Windsor Castle.
Ukrainian President Zelensky is in the UK for two high-profile meetings. This morning, King Charles greeted Zelensky at Windsor Castle in his first ever ceremonial welcome to the UK.
His calm and diplomatic exterior belied the historic weight of the decision, a move that would redefine accountability within the modern monarchy. Inside the walls of Windsor, a quiet but monumental decision was taking shape. King Charles knew the monarchy could no longer carry the weight of one troubled prince. The plan wasn't about scandal. It was about finality. Every move was carefully calculated. The palace knew that once this decision became public, there would be no turning back. Behind closed doors, the palace in flux. By mid-October, even palace insiders sensed a shift. Meetings at Clarence House became tense and private. Doors closed more often, conversations lowered to whispers, and confidential papers piled up. Something historic was unfolding, and at the center of it all was Prince Andrew. For years, Andrew had learned to live in the shadows, ignored by many. But now, even that cold indifference had sharpened. Invitations stopped arriving. Calls went unanswered. Security privileges quietly vanished. It was as if the palace walls themselves were closing in. Behind the scenes, a legal process was quietly underway, an unprecedented move to formally remove a living royal from the line of succession. Andrew could feel the change coming. His private secretary stepped down abruptly, citing ethical disagreements. Soon, unusual activity drew attention around Royal Lodge. Couriers moved at night. Legal teams appeared quietly. Rumors swirled. A personal notice from the king had been delivered. Even the personal circle felt the tension. Queen Camilla was reportedly involved in discussions. Sarah Ferguson, Andrew's ex-wife, was seen leaving their home with luggage.
Sarah Ferguson makes a major social media change after her ex, Prince Andrew,
reportedly upset and vowing to protect his story. Meanwhile, Andrew reached out to his daughters. Princess Beatrice pleaded privately with Prince William to intervene. William's answer was firm. The crown's integrity had to come first, even above family ties. Could history judge this as justice or as betrayal? The palace had entered a new, quiet chapter, one where duty outweighed loyalty and history was being rewritten behind closed doors. As these private maneuvers unfolded, the public remained unaware of the full scope. Yet even subtle hints of Andrew's changing role filtered into the press. A missed appearance here, a withdrawn invitation there. Slowly, the narrative of a prince fading from the monarchy began to take shape, preparing audiences for the historic announcement. By October 22nd, Prince Andrew's world had quietly shrunk. Personal security reassigned, official communications cut, and his name stripped of all royal titles. The Royal UK website no longer listed him with duties or honors, just Prince Andrew. The future he once held was gone. 2 days later, King Charles appeared before the world, meeting foreign leaders with calm precision. To the public, a simple act of diplomacy. Behind the composed facade, however, the king had already made the most personal and historic decision of his reign. Publicly measured, privately resolute. Even those closest to the king could feel the tension. Every glance and every word carried the weight of history. By October 26th, the final step was complete. The royal succession was legally revised, permanently removing Andrew, a move unprecedented in modern monarchy, severing blood ties to protect the crown. Inside Clarence House, the night before the announcement was tense and deliberate. Every detail reviewed, every line scrutinized. The decision itself was made weeks ago, but the weight of its consequences hung heavily over the palace. History would remember this moment, defining a new era for the monarchy. Outside, speculation exploded. Media outlets scrambled. Social networks buzzed with debate over justice, loyalty, and the future of the crown. The world watched closely as the palace prepared to release the unprecedented statement. By morning, the announcement went live on the royal website and to the press. No further commentary would follow. The line had been drawn. The monarchy had acted, decisively, silently, and forever. Even before the public fully absorbed the news, shockwaves rippled through the royal circle. Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie were left reeling, caught between loyalty to their father and the reality of history being rewritten. Friends said the sisters were devastated. One spent the evening in tears, the other retreating from the outside world entirely. Their family, once defined by privilege and status, faced a quiet but undeniable upheaval. Outside Windsor, the sky darkened with heavy clouds, the kind of brooding rain that seemed tailor-made for royal drama. The bells of St. George's Chapel tolled softly, as if acknowledging the gravity of what had just unfolded. Across Britain, conversations buzzed, pubs and cafes filled with debate. Some praised the king's resolve, others questioned the personal cost. Opinions stretched across oceans, from London to Toronto to Sydney, as viewers everywhere asked, had the monarchy finally drawn the line, or had it gone too far in cutting off its own bloodline? Inside Clarence House, the atmosphere was quiet but tense. The king, exhausted yet steady, finalized the document that would change the future of the crown. Every stroke of the pen marked a turning point. By the time night fell, the decision was sealed, irreversible. The House of York, once a proud branch of the royal family, would awaken to a world where their place in history was erased. Did King Charles make the right choice, balancing duty and family? October 26th, a historic line drawn. Then came the morning of October 26th, 2025. At 10 a.m., the world seemed to pause. The official statement was brief, precise, and final. Standing at a polished podium, Prince William addressed the cameras. No names were spoken, no titles were mentioned, but the absence was deafening. In one short moment, the message was clear. The monarchy had acted, history had shifted, and a new chapter was beginning, one written without the Duke of York. Prince Andrew, once a central figure of the royal family, had been erased, not through scandal, not by fate, but by royal decree. Almost instantly, the monarchy's official website reflected the change, his name vanishing from the line of succession like a move on a chessboard. Where once he stood as Duke of York, there was now a blank space, a clear and final break in history. The announcement hit the world like a thunderclap. Headlines flashed across screens. BBC News interrupted programming, while international outlets framed it as a decisive exile. In France, newspapers ran somber portraits of King Charles, portraying a monarch willing to act to protect the crown. Inside Clarence House, the atmosphere was heavy with quiet resolve. Queen Camilla was beside Charles as the news unfolded, and even the briefest glance at William's composed delivery on television carried the weight of history. Andrew's reaction was quiet and private. Alone at Royal Lodge, he absorbed the announcement before retreating to Castle of May in Scotland, disappearing from public view entirely. The royal family and nation felt the impact immediately. Beatrice and Eugenie wrestled with loyalty and reality, while public opinion split between support for King Charles's decisive action and sympathy for Andrew. Across the UK and beyond, conversations debated duty versus compassion, underscoring the historic weight of the decision. The impact reached beyond Britain's shores. International leaders acknowledged the weight of the move, framing it as both courageous and necessary. Yet at home, the emotional toll was profound. Princess Beatrice was seen leaving her London residence in tears, while Princess Eugenie withdrew completely from the public eye. Even Sarah Ferguson struggled to navigate the fallout, hinting at personal media plans to tell her side of the story. As the global conversation raged, Clarence House issued one final, quiet statement, concise, deliberate, and final. History had shifted, and the monarchy had drawn a line that could never be erased. King Charles had made a choice few could imagine, and one that would echo through history. The future of the monarchy, he decided, must be built on service and integrity, not shadowed by scandal. That principle guided every decision that followed. As autumn light faded over Windsor, Prince William returned to Adelaide Cottage to face Princess Catherine. There was no need for words. A simple nod, a glimmer of tears, an unspoken understanding that a decisive chapter had closed. Outside, church bells tolled quietly, marking not sorrow, but the end of an era. The House of York had been cut loose, and the crown had once again chosen duty over family. The next morning, Britain awoke to a calm that felt almost unnatural, the kind of quiet that follows a thunderclap. Headlines across the nation told the same story. The king had severed his brother from the line of succession.
The King of the UK as he strips his brother Andrew of all titles, including Prince. Buckingham Palace said in a statement that the king started the process to remove the style, titles, and honors of his younger brother.
Images of Charles captured a solemn figure, his expression distant, a man who had carried the weight of history on his shoulders. Inside Windsor, the palace moved with precision. Communications teams coordinated with government officials, ensuring every legal detail was airtight. There would be no ambiguity, no return, no compromise. Prime Minister Keir Starmer praised the move as a necessary step toward a modern, accountable monarchy. Across the Atlantic, political leaders acknowledged the weight and courage of the decision. Yet behind the public composure, the royal family felt the strain deeply. Queen Camilla remained composed for cameras, but those close to her spoke of quiet worry for Charles's health and the emotional toll the choice demanded. Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie retreated from public life, devastated but respectful of the decision. Some reports hinted that Beatrice even wrote to her father, vowing to restore family honor someday, though whether Andrew ever saw the letter remains unknown. Andrew himself became a figure of uncertainty. Rumors swirled about his whereabouts, some placing him at Castle of May in Scotland, others suggesting Royal Lodge. But one local resident described seeing a thinner, quieter man who seemed to finally understand the world had moved on. Meanwhile, Sarah Ferguson prepared her next move, negotiating a U.S. television interview to present her side of the story. The palace expected little change. Old patterns die hard. Public opinion was sharply divided. Polls suggested most Britons backed the king's action, yet conversations, online and offline, continued to debate the balance between justice, loyalty, and mercy. Across social media and the news, everyone seemed to have an opinion. Some saw a courageous king, others saw a brother torn from his family. One thing was clear: the monarchy had drawn a line, and the echoes of that decision would shape the crown for generations to come. Inside Clarence House, life continued with quiet precision. The official visual representation of the royal family was updated, Andrew's position removed, leaving Charles, Camilla, William, Catherine, and their children at the center. The image symbolized continuity and renewal, but behind the polished frame lay a deeper truth. To preserve its future, the monarchy had severed ties with one of its own, leaving an invisible scar on the family. As evening fell on October 26, 2025, Westminster's bells rang across London, a solemn echo of closure and transition. Britain was witnessing the end of more than just a prince's official role. It was the closing of a chapter in royal history. Prince Andrew, once so close to the heart of the monarchy, had been removed from its succession.
Prince Andrew isn't a prince anymore. The former Duke of York was stripped of all his royal titles and honors in the wake of continued scrutiny,
leaving behind a vacuum both symbolic and personal. For the crown, this was not merely a disciplinary action. It was a reckoning, a demonstration that no amount of privilege could shield one from accountability. King Charles emerged that evening as a figure both weary and resolute. His health visibly burdened him, yet his determination to act in the monarchy's long-term interest defined the moment. History would remember this as a turning point, a sovereign choosing duty over family, principle over personal sentiment. Across the world, media framed the event with a mix of awe and sorrow. Analysts described it as a lesson in leadership, a vivid illustration that legacy must be earned, not inherited. Even countries with no living monarchy followed closely, interpreting the act as a rare blend of discipline and moral clarity. Andrew's decline reflected years of missteps and unaddressed controversies. It was a slow erosion of trust and credibility. His reliance on status and privilege, paired with a refusal to confront the past, left him isolated, culminating in this public and irreversible separation. The story of his removal served as a stark reminder. In the modern monarchy, reputation, responsibility, and accountability matter above all else. By the night of October 26th, Britain had fully entered a new chapter. The monarchy, more streamlined and focused than ever, had reasserted its authority and moral code. Yet the human cost was undeniable. An entire branch of the royal family had been quietly erased from prominence. As the nation awaited the formal statement, the story of duty, consequence, and the enduring weight of responsibility became clear for all to witness. Duty over family, lessons for the modern monarchy. It's a reminder that even in the world of crowns and palaces, the toughest choices are often the most human. Some moments transcend any one person. They hold a mirror up to all of us. Power, whether royal, political, or personal, is meaningless without integrity. The monarchy is strongest when it remembers its true purpose, to serve. By removing his brother from the line of succession, King Charles reinforced that even royalty answers to principle. Beneath the headlines lies undeniable human weight. A brother signing away another's place, a father witnessing the grief of his granddaughters. It is intimate, tragic, and painfully universal. Families everywhere understand that sometimes love alone cannot override duty. Andrew's removal, harsh as it may seem, reflects a universal truth. Actions have consequences, regardless of status or lineage. For the monarchy, this act signals both reckoning and renewal. It marks the end of one chapter and the careful beginning of another, with Prince William stepping forward as both heir and emblem of a new kind of leadership, one that must balance tradition with transparency, duty with compassion. The question now is whether he can hold the legacy intact while guiding it toward a future the world will respect. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Was King Charles right to make this decision, or was it too severe? Share your perspective in the comments and let me know where in the world you're watching from. Royal history may belong to Britain, but moments like these remind us it belongs to all of us who watch, reflect, and learn from it. In the end, it's not the crowns we wear or the titles we inherit that define us. It's the choices we make when everyone is watching and the courage to act, even at a personal cost.